drank so much coffee today that technically I am on cocaine. I have multiple personalities, but they are all exactly the same. My psychic friend has short-term memory loss. She remembers tomorrow like it was today. Yesterday I spilled mustard on my mustard-colored jeans. Today there's an invisible stain. Oh no, oh no, oh no, where'd it go? Oh no, the stain appeared without a trace. That'll never come out. I know a couple of conjoined twins, but I'm starting to think that they might be the same person, because I've never even seen them in the same room together. Who the hell do they think they're fooling? I'm on to you. I can eat whatever I want. The calories don't count as long as I wear a disguise. Everybody has a birthday coming up. As long as they do not die, the revolution will be televised. In fact, you probably missed it because it wasn't really advertised. I am a pessimistic narcissist. I always feel empty, but I'm full of myself half the time. I know, I don't know, no, I don't. I am perfect, but not every time. Oh, I thought the song was done. I am perfect, but not every time. Welcome to Dustin's Vinyl. And here's your host, Dustin Chafin.
Yay! Anthony Kapfer. That's a great song. That is Invisible Stain from Anthony's re-release of the album. I can't believe it's not Better Deluxe Edition. Is a FU to Spotify, and we're releasing that for the Christmas holidays or Hanukkah holidays, whatever you do, Kwanzaa. So buy that album. For people watching us, buy that album.
Yeah,
we could use it.
Please.
Buy it.
I'm broke. Please buy the album.
What are you gonna do? So they didn't put your album back on Spotify. They took it off and didn't put it back on.
No, they never put it back on. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try re-releasing that. I mean, it's everywhere else, but Spotify is like the big. It's the big service.
That doesn't
so I'm
pay.
gonna try. Yeah. I'm gonna try to put out the deluxe version and see if they will allow that.
Oh, I see.
So I don't know for sure, but if Spotify won't let it happen, then the deluxe will be everywhere else, just like the original one.
Yeah, no, I got all mad and took everything off and like went on to Tidal and everything, and just kind of went on this big rant and thing. And then I guess they brought it back, because they were doing some work on trying to get artists back on there. So, but I don't know. But I still don't see hardly any money, and so Spotify is just it's really ridiculous.
I was starting to get pretty good payouts from all the streaming services, and then they removed one of the albums that everyone was listening to. It got too many plays. That was the problem.
Really?
Have you ever heard of something so ridiculous? Spotify thought that I was paying for streams.
Really?
Because, that's why they took it down. Because, I have the song where I say,
they're like, there's no way this
Spotify.
guy has people listening. He's definitely buying bots.
I have that one song where the song about Spotify that I have where I'm telling everybody to play the song, while you sleep on repeat. And some people were doing that, but
Ah,
I wasn't paying them to do it, and I wasn't doing it. But they thought that either I was listening to it myself on
hmm.
loop, or that I was paying to have to have the streams.
Wow.
I just had a song, but they left the one song about Spotify on Spotify.
They got rid of everything else, and they
The
kept the
whole rest
Spotify
of the
song.
album is gone except for the song where I'm telling you to play the song repeatedly. That they left.
Wow, how weird is that? Well, I tell you, it's definitely the music business is not the same, is it?
No.
Used to be a time you just got your little wax vinyl and you just took it down to the radio station and you hope they played it, and that was interesting stuff. Yeah, I'm reading that book. I think I told you guys the Last Days of John Lennon, and
Oh yeah.
it's James Patterson, and it's written as kind of like a kind of in the voice of Harry Chapman, the guy who killed him, whatever, and it's interesting because I think it really taps into all that, or John Harry Chapman. I don't know if it's his fucking name,
Mark David
but
Chapman.
anyway, Mark David Chapman. That's it. And it's on the perspective of kind of how the Beatles kind of, they got a lot of breaks, and kind of how they were able to kind of like pop off. A lot of it is like just kind of the beginnings of just getting their record in a record shop, and then the Epstein buying record time and things that just basically buying copies of the records and things like that to get themselves to number 49 and get them on the charts, and just all this stuff that was interesting, that I thought was kind of a leg up, if you will. And not that they're not great. And then it's like, then you start seeing them and they're like, like they're basically studying Buddy Holly songs and like, taking them apart and stuff like that. So it's like, the whole thing wasn't just this magical thing out of nowhere. Like there's a lot of work involved. And then, just, I don't know. And then the haircuts. I think it's all about the haircuts. Once they get the haircuts, it was done.
Yeah.
They were technically a boy band and they fought against it.
Yeah. They fought. I mean, it was pretty cool what they did. Because everybody just would do covers pretty much at that time, standards or whatever.
Sure.
So it's cool that they started in the early Beatles stuff. They were fighting to have their own songs on the albums.
Yeah.
And then once the people got used to them writing their own songs, then they just got weird after they stopped touring, and then the whole second half of the Beatles catalog is like all this weird stuff. So they start out as a boy band, and then they became artists.
Then drugs.
Then drugs. That'll do it. That's all you need.
Yeah, drugs. I don't know. I think that early stuff's great. I don't. When I say boy band, I don't mean that as a disrespect. I mean, I think it's it's just kind of like it's kind of how they were able to get out there. It's If girls weren't involved, then they probably wouldn't have gotten the fame they got. You had to compete with Elvis, so they had to do something.
Yeah.
What a show! Still in the barn. I am. I think I should try to throw a dart. See if I can hit it. See if I can do this live on Twitch.
Live
so we
darts.
Got this guy.
What other show is giving you live darts?
In the wall. Right in the
nice.
wall.
Right in the...
All right, let's bring in our other host. Very funny guy. He'll have more to offer. I'm out of it. Give it up for Adam Holtz, everybody. Wow. Worst intro we've ever had.
Right.
You say right? Shut up. What are you doing?
How's it going?
To contribute? Yeah. You're not sending me a monologue.
Right.
We're doing this on our own. What are we going to do? We got nothing. We lost Jeff. Rest in peace. He was good. He died at a gay bar, and
is he coming back?
We miss him. He's not coming back. He's on the road. He's starring in Annie. He's playing Mr. Warbucks and the musical. He's on the road. What is that? Rock of Ages. Like all that talk, and he's the star of that show. So he's playing the Alec Baldwin part.
He has that musical at Caroline's, then Caroline shuts down.
I think Jeff shut him down.
Yeah.
I really do.
He did a dance number, and everyone realized.
Yeah.
I don't believe you could dance.
I think he could. Uncomfortable. I think he's good, and it's uncomfortable how good he is, and that's why I give him shit about it. Because you got to commit. You got to have an ego to dance, and Jeff has the ego, so I think he could dance. It's just I just make fun of him because it's awkward because he still has like a Staten Island physique, but then he's kind of dancing like. Anyway, what are we talking about? Caroline's closing. That sucks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like all the places that I cared about. I mean, Caroline's was like, you know, they took care of me, but they didn't totally take care of me. But it was still kind of a goal for a lot of comics, and I think that's what's great about that spot. It was like, you know, the first big club. It felt like showbiz, that club.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like this huge, beautiful place, and then if you got on there, you know, it was kind of a big deal if you got a good show there, whatever. But yeah. Caroline's closing. Dangerfields is closing. You know, I left New York just in time.
Yeah, everything's closing.
Everything's closed.
It's all over.
Well, I got there with CBGBs and all that stuff. None of that's there anymore. There's no good music clubs.
Yeah.
You know,
Nothing.
You got Blue Note, I guess. That's the only thing kind of hanging on. That's kind of a tourist trap. So I don't know. Where do you go for music in the city? You go anywhere, Adam? Do you go into New York City at all? You don't go in New York, do you?
Well, next week I have I'm actually going to see Wet Leg twice next week. At once at Webster Hall and then at Bowery.
Oh, so you do? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
But you know, a lot of the bands though have been playing King's Theater over in Queens, Brooklyn
that's a
Steel.
nice spot. Yeah,
that's where LCD
Brooklyn
has been
Steel's
playing.
cool.
Yeah,
I saw Bjork at the King's Theater. I think that's where it was.
Cool.
Was that where it was?
Oh, wow.
I think so.
Where do we see the Breeders? Was it Terminal 5? Is that what that is? What's that called?
I think that was Terminal 5.
Yeah, that's still there?
Yeah, Terminal 5 is still there. That's probably my least favorite venue. Just the way that it's kind of stacked vertically, and it's if you're not down in that lower level, if you go up, you can't really see anything. But Brooklyn Steel kind of took that same design, but spread it out more, and it works a lot better.
Yeah, I like that place.
Yeah.
I saw the Cult there. That's surprising to everyone, huh? Good show. The good show. Yeah, live shows. Yeah, they're coming back. I feel like now it's normal again. You know, it feels like you see footage of concerts, and you know everybody's just being out. You know, I mean, Elton John was at doing his last tour, and he was in Lo-Fi Stadium, and it's thousands and thousands of people. You know, It's pretty great to have all that back again. I wasn't sure if any of that was going to come back, because there were a couple of years when we were doing this in the beginning. It's just like, are people going to go out to shows like that anymore?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I've been playing some arenas, and it's amazing to me that people come out to these things like that, but they do. Nobody cares. And I was in Alabama, Little Rock. Nobody cares about COVID out there.
Oh yeah, they never did. They never cared over there.
Little Rock, Arkansas. Who wants to be from there, huh? Jay's from there. That's the joke. I usually should get a chat by now, but he's not. He's playing Fortnite. He's not even watching the show. Are you there? Anyway, anybody listening out there? If you are watching out there, I guess you're watching. Let us know favorite concerts. LOL, I'm at work. He says. If you're out there in Twitch land, let us know your favorite live venues and who you saw there. What are some of your favorite live venues, and who did you see there? We'd love to throw that around here on Dustin's Vinyl. Cool. All right. So what's going on? Do you guys do any record shopping or anything? Any record pulls? You got any pulls? Random pulls?
I have a pull.
Yeah, you do. What do you got?
Oh, yeah.
Pull it out. What do you got, Adam?
Yeah, whip it out.
All right, so I've been revisiting some of the early Pearl Jam stuff lately. So I got here's Vitology, and
nice.
This
package.
Yeah, it's actually a Record Store Day release. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think as I've been getting older, I feel like this is my favorite Pearl Jam album. I would actually maybe put this over 10.
Oh yeah, I put that. I don't even know. I don't think that's even my favorite one, and I put it over 10.
Right.
10 is one of my least favorite Pearl Jam albums.
Yeah, it seems to be 10 usually is, among it's usually either at the top at number one, or I've been seeing a lot of lists lately where it's maybe around number two, number three or so. Maybe this Vitology or what's the Yield? Yield actually
Versus,
pops up.
Yield, I
Yeah,
love. No Code, I thought was great.
yeah.
What's the one with the goat? I like that one.
Verse,
Versus,
Verse.
yeah,
Versus.
Verse, yeah. The second album. But this one,
What was they re-released? I mean, this is a while back now, but they re-released 10 with like slightly less dated production. Do you remember that? Like there was less reverb on everything. It didn't
Yeah,
sound
that
like
was,
1991 or whatever. And I liked that version of 10 a lot more.
You did.
That production is so. It's like listening to the first Alice in Chains album. Like the production is just did not. It's just so dated.
Well, it's interesting because you like a lot of reverb.
Depends. Depends on the reverb.
You do a lot of reverb on your stuff.
I do. You mean like this? What are you talking about? I never use reverb.
I like reverb. I don't know. I think it's fun. It's like the Doors. They use a lot. No, they just.
I don't think so.
Who uses a lot of reverb? What are bands that get away with it?
A lot of shoegaze bands. You know, my
Bloody Valentine.
Shoegaze.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
What's
works with
shoegaze?
that kind of stuff.
What's shoegaze?
Like, like My Bloody Valentine is I don't really know. It's like indie rock with reverb. What else makes it?
No, I just don't know.
It's very, it's
shoegaze. I don't know
very,
what that is.
it's almost like noise rock. It's got that huge kind of like wall of sound that hits you, and
yeah, it's a wall of sound.
and I think it's based on that it's music that you kind of shuffle in place and you're staring at your shoes. So that's how they came up with shoegaze.
Oh, gaze. It's shoegaze. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
shoegaze,
hilarious.
yeah.
So you're looking at the pedals. I get it. Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's probably what it is. So
Right,
all the
it's-
pedals. Yeah.
Looking at the pedals. Interesting. All right.
That Pearl Jam album is it was the, let me see, I think it was the 10 Deluxe edition in from 2009. That one that had the remix on it, and they actually had the Unplugged, the MTV Unplugged Pearl Jam on it too.
Oh, their Unplugged was all right. Not bad.
That was good, I thought. I think most of the unplugs were good.
Yeah.
It's like,
It was just weird because Pearl Jam was playing like it was a normal show, except they just happened to have acoustic guitars. You know, like the energy, they were trying to like rock. The drummer was hitting all hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you think a true unplugged has to be slowed down?
It's my preference. I think the way Nirvana did it, I thought was great. And Alice in Chains also did a nice job of kind of switching up the vibe, you know, just rather than just doing a regular show and swapping out electric guitars for acoustic guitars, you know, just like changing the.
Well, even if you play a guitar, acoustic guitar, if you play it hard, it's still going to sound different than an electric, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's not going to have the same kind of, you know. Kiss was pretty fun, actually.
Oh yeah, Kiss did it. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
They
they did a
didn't-
good job. It's
Yeah,
fun.
that was not bad. That was when they were still doing no makeup, wasn't it? Did they have
I
no
think
makeup?
so.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're not going to have makeup on the unplugged. You're not going to do, you're not going to walk up with like high heels, demons on them and shit, with chains and yeah.
But that
No,
was
you're
such
just-
an interesting time for Kiss. They had a few years where they didn't do the makeup, and then they were like, "All right, we're going back to the makeup, and we're never taking it off again."
Yeah, I mean, I mean, do you blame them? You know, I
No,
feel like
not at all. It's I hope they keep it
I
on.
feel like it's well. That's the thing. That's the genius of them is a lot of these bands you see them like. I mean, you look at Guns, you look at like Axl and stuff, and it's like, oof, it's hard to watch. You know, because they're so banged up looking. You know,
Yeah.
some of these rocket bands just look so bad. It's like Billy Idol, enough with the plastic surgery. Like you just see the bands, and you're just like, he actually looks pretty good. He actually he doesn't look bad, but like Axl looks really bad, and
Axl looks terrible.
Vince Neil looks terrible, and it's
Awful.
like. You know, but the makeup, you know, it's a good, you know, when you're in your 70s and you're playing arenas, why not have full makeup?
The makeup is great for Kiss too because they're just replacing everybody in the band. So it's like Ace Frehley is not really Ace Frehley, but he's got the makeup. Peter Criss, it's some other dude with the makeup.
Great though, those guys are great. The guys that replaced are phenomenal musicians. I saw them at their last tour. Well, not their last one, I guess. They always say that. The last 14th tour we're doing, but they were great. I mean, they were on the high wire and everything. They're just like coming out on the like a zip line or whatever. It was great. They couldn't, you know. But I want my senior citizens to wear makeup when they're rockers. Well, this guy, you know, he didn't, you know, he didn't do crazy plastic surgery, you know,
No.
Peter Frampton, you know, he looks like a normal dude in his 60s or 70s or whatever he is. But this is a good album. I bought this album, you know, I'm at my father-in-law's and mother-in-law's. So it's like, you know, I'm just grabbing from his collection, but I gave him this album and I bought it at the concert. And we, Jeff and I, we went to the Peter Frampton concert, and this is Peter Frampton. It's all blues all blues songs. And it's really great. I mean, he's a hell of a guitarist. Like people kind of sit on him as a guitarist because, you know, he's kind of had a cheesy 70s thing going, but he's great. And this album is a lot of fun. So you want to see a different kind of Peter Frampton album. This is definitely a cool thing. Cause I think he was talking about the stories. What he does, what's cool about Peter Frampton when I saw him is, cause you saw him a long time ago, right, Anthony? So I'm like,
like 15 years ago, probably, and then maybe 10 years ago.
Okay. Oh, you seen him twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, probably 10 years ago. I don't know when I saw it. Might have been 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know. But anyway, when I saw him, he was doing stories in between the songs, which are great, like a slideshow of like when he started and like kind of the progression of his thing. So that was really cool just to watch that. And apparently, how he got to this album is him and Steve Miller were on a tour together, and then they would kind of do a concert. They would do like, you know, I guess probably Steve Miller would headline or whatever. And then they would go back on together and they would do blues solos and stuff and kind of play around with the guitar. And that's how kind of Peter Frampton got, jam. And that's how Peter Frampton got the idea for this album. He was just like, we're just jamming and like, let's just do a blues album. So did that. Nice, right?
Yeah, I like Peter Frampton. I like him a lot. His band is tight.
Good for you.
You know,
good for you liking
great.
old dudes.
Yeah.
I know you don't like a lot of old dudes.
Well, it depends on the old dude, you know.
There's not a lot of old dudes that get Anthony approval.
He's a great old dude. I saw him with his band, and then I saw him acoustic. He did an acoustic tour, which was awesome. Really great. That was at another old theater in Staten Island. I can't remember the name, but it's like the same thing that they did with the King's Theater, where they reopened this old theater from like the 20s or 30s or whatever. I saw him in Staten Island at some theater like that. Can't remember what it was called.
Nice. I like your style. Here's another Christmas album. This is John Denver, Rocky Mountain Christmas, which means you must be high.
He was all about the Rocky Mountains.
He really was. That's what it's called. Cool insert there. Kind of cool.
Nice.
And I like John Denver, man. John Denver's great. Like his, you know, thank God I'm a country boy, all that stuff. It's good. And this is, you know, he's like a guy, you know, I guess your basic Christmas stuff. I think he might have wrote some of these. Christmas for Cowboys. You know, I don't think he wrote Away in a Manger, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Daddy wrote that. Silver Bells, you know, there's a lot of classics in there he's singing. But I think there's like 3 originals, and then like most of them are just the, you know, traditional Christmas songs. But yeah, I just say, you know, like one of those, like it feels right with John Denver doing a Christmas album. You know, he was in that movie God, so it kind of makes sense. I don't know if you saw that with George Burns. You see that?
I think I feel like I did see that.
Great movie, great movie. The first one's really good. It's called God, and George Burns plays God, and then John Denver's like this "what's happening" guy, and like in his back seat and stuff, and his Volkswagen Bug or whatever. It's just really funny because you don't know if he's high the whole time or if he's actually seeing God because it's John Denver. But it's good stuff. Yay! All right, so Anthony, you lead us off today. You were director of the theme here on Dustin's Vinyl today, so. Lead us off, pick whoever you want, do your thing, it's your show. Let's do it.
All right. I guess we'll the theme that I picked new discoveries and rediscoveries.
Interesting.
So I'll start with the rediscoveries. Band and an album and a song that I had not listened to in maybe 20 years. I picked Bush, the band Bush, the song "Swallowed" from Razorblade Suitcase, which was their second album. Came out in 1996, and I loved the album when it first came out, and then within like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, I just did not care about Bush anymore. Yep. I kind of, because when I was about 11 or 12 when the album came out, so I was like, it came out. There was no more Nirvana, and Nirvana was my favorite band, the band that made me want to become a musician. And Bush was like one of the bands that was kind of riding the wave. Kind of there's a lot of fake Nirvana sound-alike bands at that time, and I at first I didn't mind or didn't realize what was it was like, oh, it's just another band that I like. And as I got into high school, I was like, oh man, they're not cool. Bush isn't cool, and I never looked back. I just didn't like Bush for 20 years, and I don't know what happened the other day. I just was like, I was playing guitar, and I started somehow. You know what it was? I think I was playing "Creep" by Radiohead on guitar, and then I was like, then I did something, and it kind of reminded me of this song "Swallowed." The chorus is kind of similar chord progression, and I was like, man, I should check that out, see if it holds up. And I actually really loved the whole album. It was produced by Steve Albini, who is one of my favorite producers of all time. He also produced In Utero by Nirvana. He did the Surfer Rosa by the Pixies, and a bunch of other stuff. A bunch of Breeders things. And so it sounds great. The album, the production is great. That was the best possible producer Bush could have gotten for their follow-up. And I don't know. I love it. I feel like this song and the album in general, it holds up better than pretty much anything else that they did. So that's my Bush presentation.
You're like a chart. You're like, hey, yeah. Bush. Yeah, I liked Bush a lot. I feel like that. The first album was pretty great. When they first arrived, it was pretty exciting. I think they had a really good run as well. And it was, it did feel like, because you guys are more kind of, grungeologist than I am. But I feel like they always felt a little more manufactured than some of the other bands. They felt like somebody was like, let's get in on this. But they were in pretty early, though. It wasn't like they were kind of behind a lot of these bands. Like when did they come out? Like they came out around the same time, or was it later?
It was,
like 95?
94
like.
for
94 was the first
16
one?
Stone, yeah.
Oh, so it was. Did that come out before Kurt Cobain died?
No, I think it was.
Because
it was after.
Yeah, it must have been right after.
So they came out after Nirvana had their
Yeah,
okay.
like so it must have been right after.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
the
because
right
it
time
was,
for people who still wanted that kind of music. I wasn't done with it, you know. I was I was just getting started.
Yeah, but I feel Bush is tough. It's barely not Creed, you know?
Yeah, but Creed didn't exist yet. So there
Okay.
it
I
was
know. You know
it
what I
was the
mean. You know what I mean.
precursor for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what
It's
I think is kind of cool, like
this close.
I like that for the second album they worked with Steve Albini because he's not the kind of producer that tells the band how the song should sound, like, or what should happen in the song.
Okay.
He engineers and he lets the band do what the band is going to do. He's not like Rick Rubin
Yeah.
trying to like make them write hits or whatever. The band comes
Yeah.
in with the album and he just knows where to put the microphones and knows what equipment to capture the performances. So even if like the first album, it could have been, you know, they could have been working with some producers that were like, "Hey, you got to," or like the record label was like, "You got to do this." But if you're working with Steve Albini, you're gonna, you know, there's no outside influence.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm sure this guy's amazing. But I don't like how you just, just like Rick Rubin, just trying to make a hit. Like he's.
Well, Rick Rubin's done some great stuff, but it's complete opposite.
Yeah, but he's a genius. But they're both geniuses in their own right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Not to
I
say
think
that
Rick Rubin's trying to make a. I think Rick Rubin's trying to bring a sound out of you. I don't know if he's necessarily trying to. I mean, they're all trying to do hits. I mean, why are you in the studio? If you're not trying to be a hit maker, because you want to make money. Right? I don't know.
I guess Steve Albini, he does not. He doesn't get royalties. A lot of producers get paid forever for being producers, and he gets paid to engineer the album one time.
Yeah.
And that's it. So he actually is the one person in the music business.
I don't know. I put money on it though that he's kicking himself for that right now. We're not going to see it, but he's somewhere going, man, I probably should have signed those royalty things.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin could buy 5 islands. So yeah, I think maybe Rick was onto something.
No, yeah.
No, but yeah, I think Bush is good. I think, but like I said, I think it's just definitely. I wore that first album out, but then I couldn't really. That's the thing with Bush. They don't have the respect that like a STP or Nirvana or Pearl Jam. Like they somehow they just didn't have a lasting effect.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy was too pretty. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Yeah, he tried acting pretty early on. He just wanted to do whatever.
They did the No Doubt chick, dated her, Gwen Stefani or
Gwen
whatever.
Stefani.
Married.
They were married.
Yeah.
I think he cheated on her too.
Well, happens. You're out there in that rock star world.
What are you doing, Gavin? You got too big for his britches,
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think he became the rock star as opposed to kind of the tortured artist. And that's what we love so much about Kurt. And Eddie's he never compromised. It's like these guys, and then Scott died. So it's like, all the stuff. I don't know. I think some of that torture is what makes you kind of drawn to the artist. Than when he's just like acting in a movie and wearing the brand new leather. And, I feel like he's more of a rock star than maybe an artist at some point. I think you kind of lose fact, you lose a little bit of, I don't know, like the Maroon 5 guy, like certain guys, you just like, they just too much of, you know what I mean? Like they're too much of that, instead of like, he's not a horrible musician, but it's like, I think if he had stayed more down that road, maybe, but it reminds you of this guy, Gavin, a little bit. What's the guy's name? The Maroon 5 guy?
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine. Yeah. Has like little Adam Levine vibe. So I hate to say that about anybody. That's what it feels like. I know. How about you, Adam? How you feel? You feel like a Bush guy?
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar experience to you guys with them. I remember when 16 Stone came out, Everything Zen. It was that at the time it didn't feel as manufactured. It just felt like, oh, this is that kind of progression. This is just another grunge band, and yeah, this is right after Kurt's Kurt died and music's kind of shifting a little bit. But the same thing with 16 Stone. I wore that one out too. And I mean, you had Everything's End, you had Come Down, Machine Head, Glycerine. It was a great album.
Yeah.
But then the same thing, like with Anthony, I just stopped listening to them. I don't even think I even had Razor Blade Suitcase. And
okay.
at that point, it was well, I guess 16 Stone came out later in high school. By the time Razor Blade Suitcase came out, I was listening to I think I was listening to Beckmore. I was listening to 311. I was listening to
wow.
Weezer. Like there was a lot more. I think I was going away from grunge and more into more of the alt music that was out there. Plus a lot of classic rock. So I never really came back to Razor Blade Suitcase. And Razor Blade Suitcase is one of those albums that you would find so much or so often in the used CD bins. But
yeah.
But I did see him recently. I did see Bush recently. They toured with Live, and they were doing this co-headlining tour. So I saw them. I think it was right before COVID. I saw them at PNC Bank, and it was they opened for Live. And Live to me is a similar band. I mean, both these bands are these kind of mid-tier alt rock or grunge kind of bands in the 90s, and Live was the same way. I was into their first two albums, Mental Jewelry and Throwing Copper, and then at some point I just stopped listening to them. But Bush was great. They were great live. I think Gavin Rossdale still sounds good. I know I think they had a recent hit too. They did a song for one of the John Wick soundtracks.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think like what you guys said, and what Dustin, what you said too about him just being, probably just that feeling of manufacture, that he's this pretty boy, that it just, I think it turned a lot of people, or a lot of people that were into alt rock, I think it turned a lot of people off.
Yeah, when I stopped listening to Bush, I dated this girl for a long time. She's a Puerto Rican girl, and I only bring it up that she's Puerto Rican. She had this Puerto Rican family that didn't like white people very much, and and they always, and even though I'd be like, I'm Native American, they would never buy it. I was always the white guy from Texas. And I remember her sister bought me a Bush album for Christmas, and I'd never discussed music with her at all. And she says, and I go, this is great. I go, why did you buy me this CD? And she goes, well, I figured, it's white people music. And so I remember getting so angry. I was like, I'm not, you can't just box this up. Even though I have the one before this, doesn't mean that I.
Even though I'm listening to it all the time.
Right. Yeah. But it made me so mad. I was like, you can just sum me up, bro. It's like, I like Buena Vista Social Club. Why don't you give me that? Whatever. It was such a funny moment. I was like, I've never listened to this ever again.
You bought her a Tito Puente CD.
I was going to say another band that I kind of associate with them, even though they're not grunge, was Gin Blossoms, and I think it was just because it was that same kind of, they also, I think they only had one album, and it was so big for a second, and then they were gone.
Yeah, it's the short-lived time in music.
Better Than Ezra. That was another.
Yeah.
They could have toured with Bush.
Candlebox actually is touring with Bush now.
Yeah.
Hanson.
Candlebox was definitely a fake Pearl Jam kind of band.
Yeah, they had that one song "You," which was definitely very much a Pearl Jam ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was trying to do that thing, trying to capitalize on that heroin sound. All right. Adam, what's your
So I went with the 80s. I a couple weeks ago I picked up this album. It was one of my favorite albums of the 80s. I had it on cassette. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and I decided, it's time flipping through the used vinyl section, I came across it. I'm like, I think I got to buy this. It's so Tears for Fears, songs from the Big Chair, and I mean, this is a fantastic album, just all the way through. You got Shout, you got Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Mother's Talk, and I picked Head Over Heels, which is actually on this album. It was actually two songs, Head Over Heels and Broken, which it was a reprise of the song before it. But so this was it's with Tears for Fears. I feel like their sound is so big. It was built for arenas, and just kind of like U2, kind of like maybe some bands today like Arcade Fire or Florence and the Machine or My Morning Jacket, bands that you just expect to be playing, have this grand sound that just can fill all the space. And Tears for Fears songs just kind of fill that whole space around you, especially something like Shout. But Head Over Heels is so that's Roland Orzabal is doing the vocals on it with Kurt Smith, and it starts out with this piano, kind of pretty basic piano riff. I can actually play it on piano too, but they're really kind of hammer it. Kind of just it's almost like they're hammering the piano too, and then it just goes into this pop rock song. It's a love song. It's an interesting love song since it's not just about it kind of encompasses an entire relationship. Like, it's like, I where he starts off, I'd like to be alone with you and just talk about the weather, but instead he's thinking about the past. It's about the baggage that comes in, about how you fall in love with somebody, but you're not sure kind of what causes it, or like what the whole thing, falling head over heels. It's a great song. It's also was something because I never really knew much about their background. When I first listened to Tears for Fears, I think I was 7 or 8 years old, so I didn't really know that they had these grand ideas behind their songs. They were influenced by by psychologist Arthur Yanov, who was actually, I think, John Yoko had gone and seen for months. But he had this famous book called it was a book on primal therapy, and they based Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith based. I mean, they pulled the name Tears for Fears from that book, and they based a lot of their songs on their first album, The Hurting, and then this album, Songs from the Big Chair, on a lot of the kind of psychological advice and theories that were inside this book. And you kind of get that feeling when you listen to Head Over Heels. It does in some ways seem like a therapy session with like the way that some of these lyrics go. But it's a great song. It's a great band, and fantastic album too. And I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but it is also a very 80s and very strange video with Roland Orzabal he's in a library trying to hit on this librarian, and then you have a monkey in a Red Sox jersey that randomly shows up. But yeah, I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, this is a great album to revisit and check out. And also, they have a new album out now too. It's called The Turning Point. It's their first album in 18 years, and so far from what I've heard, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable job. Thank you, buddy. I didn't realize they were just all that as it was happening with their music. I just thought they were. I just remember, best of dance music from the 80s. That's. But Tears for Fears almost ruined my life, because I remember I was in junior high, the old guy now, and that song came out, and I remember that. I just remember every time I listen to that song, I remember this girl Elizabeth, who I just had a crush on. And I remember she saw me drunk at a party because they were drinking beers and whatever. And so she liked me because I had a personality. And then I remember the next couple of days or whatever, I tried to hang out with her and I wasn't drinking. And then she was like, "Oh, you're boring." And so that's why I became alcoholic, because of the song. I go, "I want chicks, I got to drink." Now this, this is one of those bands that, like, I think they got a little obviously overplayed just because it was everywhere.
Yeah.
This music was everywhere, and then they did that big song in the Breakfast Club and everything. It's like it's such a huge kind of band. That there was a span of like, I don't know, 84 to 86 or whenever it was. It was like, it was just them, they were just everywhere. But yeah, this is good stuff. I don't, I'm not into it really. I can't, it's not really my 80s music. My stuff's more Depeche Mode and all that stuff, New Order, that kind of thing. But it's, it's fun. It's definitely great. It was a great time in music as far as it was. I mean, they were on top of MTV and it was like all that stuff was happening. So it's, I can't really get into it like maybe I did when I was in 7th grade, but it's still good. What about you, Anthony? You Tears for Fears guy? You like you got a jacket and everything.
I mean, I'm not really. And when I first put the song on, I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be." And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this song." And then it's super catchy. It is. I liked it. I didn't want to like it. It's like it doesn't sound. I wouldn't say it's cool sounding music, but I'm sure that at the time it was very hip, and it's just one of those songs that you just have to remember. I mean, maybe not if you're maybe not actual young people now, but it was all over the place when I was growing up.
Yeah, definitely good stuff.
I like it.
Cool. All right. Yeah, this next artist, I kind of, it's kind of went through this phase of kind of old music when I was kind of in college and just kind of rediscovering kind of, all the artists that were, the Hank Williams seniors and Johnny Cash's and all this stuff, and, Elvis and the Beatles and, just going down any sort of old rabbit hole of music where I felt like a lot of the new music was trash, and I felt like I was really just trying to go backwards in music. There was a time where that's all I listened to. Anything that was old was good. And I remember Patsy Cline kind of being this artist that, when you listen to Patsy Cline, it transports you into this time of the 50s and 60s, and you just the music itself is just it's heart-wrenching and beautiful, and it just kind of like takes you over a little bit. And so there's a great soundtrack. There was a movie called Notorious Betty Page, and there's some really cool music on that. And I remember this song, Life's Railway to Heaven, is on that soundtrack. And it came on the other day, and I was listening to it and whatnot. And so this song is kind of it's a gospel hymn, basically. It's I believe it was let's see, Charlie Tillman, who kind of wrote this, the guy in like the 40s. And so it's kind of she sang this in church with her, the dad and everything. And this is kind of one of those songs that kind of like she connected to her father with this song, because I feel like they had some problems, and then later in life she was a superstar, and she's the first crossover country artist. Like she was the first Taylor Swift, if you will. I hate to say that about Patsy Cline, but she basically went to the pop charts, with this music. Like it transcended everything. And this song is not one of her popular. This is not, her first song I think that hit was "Walking After Midnight." That was like her big song, and she was really young when I think it was on a TV show, and she became like a #1 hit and everything. And then "Crazy" is one of my favorite Patsy Cline songs, and Willie Nelson wrote that song, which is just bizarre.
I didn't know.
And so this song is, it's not one of her kind of standards, but it's just Patsy Cline can sing the phone book to me, and she's just got such a beautiful voice. And I like that there's kind of I guess the backup group is like, they're kind of trying to sound like a train. It's like a quartet. So they're like choo choo cha cha, choo choo cha. They're doing this like kind of quartet thing that sounds like a train, because it's the trains. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. But I just I love the idea of her. She obviously died at the height of her career in a plane crash, and there were so many plane crashes that ruined such good music. It was a plane crash. She died in a plane crash, and she was on top, like she was the biggest thing in the world, and she died in a plane crash. And so I feel like that's such a tragedy. But her music lives on. This is kind of one of those songs. you know, life's a roadway to heaven. So I like it. Yeah. So that's Anthony. You feel like I seem like you like Patsy Cline, right?
Yeah, I don't really know a lot of her stuff, but I like what I have heard, and I liked this. It's a good song. Her voice, I think, is what sells it for sure. It was good. I was not familiar with this song, so I was
Well, they
pleasantly
released
surprised.
this one after her death. So this was released in like 78. So this was
Okay.
way long after she died. She died in 63. So this is like one of those kind of vault,
Oh,
kind of one of those
wow.
Prince vault things where they just like,
Yeah.
hey, I got an extra song, and then, you know, released it kind of.
Was it a
Adam.
hit?
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry. It was. Yeah. I don't know if it was like a number one hit or anything. I think it did pretty well.
wow. All right.
They may
Yeah,
put it on that soundtrack.
I always feel like with Patsy Cline songs, there's this kind of inherent sadness inside it. I mean, maybe it's because
Yeah.
she died young, but also just you know, if I'm listening to Walking After Midnight, Crazy, or you know, listening to this song, I just feel like I should be in some sad dive bar or something, just with a small glass of whiskey, just crying into it. It's
Yeah. I mean, that's how country music's supposed to make you
Yeah.
feel. Yeah. But yeah, she had a troubled marriage and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that a lot of it comes from heartache. You know, I think the good stuff does. You know,
Oh yeah.
yeah, the good music comes from heartache and pain, right, Anthony? You know about that.
Oh yeah. That's where all my songs used to come from before I started doing comedy.
Heartache and pain. All right, we don't have a lot of time, so let's try to let's do quickly get through our new discoveries. Adam, you go first.
All right, so I went with Momma, their song "Speeding 72." So I found this one of my favorite times right now is besides the holidays, you get all the best of lists that come out. So I found this band on the Paste Best of 2022 list. They compared them to Wet Leg. This is a fun song. It's kind of a driving anthem about you know, kind of that you know, that feeling of freedom in driving, or just driving around, smoking cigarettes, listening to music and sharing it with somebody. There's this kind of genuine, pure experience in it, and also they reference Pavement too with listening to Gold Sounds on there. So great song if you want. It reminds me of it's the Eve 6 Open Road song. You know, kind of those. It's a fun song, and I think this is a cool band to check out.
Yeah, it seemed fun. I mean, you look at they look like children. So it's like, what are you, 13? What's happening? And then you get mad. You're like, how are you this good at 13? Yeah, I think they need a drummer. Anthony, you should audition for them.
Yeah, if they're watching right now, give me a call.
They're touring with Wet Leg also.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's that band you like. Yeah, they're good. They seem good, fun. You know, like definitely. It was a little familiar, you know, but it was fun. You know, it's kind of fun young music, I guess. Anthony, did you like them?
I did like it. I had not heard of them before, but I enjoy it. I would check out more of their stuff, but I do also agree. You said it's like familiar. It doesn't seem like they're really bringing anything new to the table. It's kind of like it sounds kind of like 90s alternative rock, but then also like the kind of indie pop rock that is happening right now.
It's
but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, like early indie 2000s, or even like it sounded a little bit to me like Silver Sun Pickups too.
Yeah. But I'm gonna check out more of their stuff. I like that sound that they're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in my car in LA because I'm cool like that, and I was driving, and this band came on, Beach Weather, and I'd never really heard of them, and this song came on, and I was like, this is pretty cool, man. It was, you know, kind of just had some vibe that I dug, you know, sex, drugs, etc. It seemed like just a really cool band, interesting band. I didn't do a lot of research on the 3-piece. Kind of alternative pop band, American band. I think they got popular off. They did a song on some Netflix show. It was Control Z or something, and then apparently they blew up on TikTok, and that was like this particular song just blew up. And it's Nick Santino he was I don't know, he's an ex a rocket in the moon, whatever that means. And
Rocket in
but
the Moon?
yeah, I don't know what that means. I just you
It's
look
a
at this stuff,
band
you're like,
or something.
yeah, I think it's a band. Yeah. And this is off the album Chit Chat, and the album's really good. I listened to the whole album; it's good. And this song, I don't know, man, just kind of had a groovy. It reminded me of the old days, kind of Roxy music and like slower kind of electronica stuff. It was fun. I liked it. I think they're good. Adam, I think it seems like a band you would like.
Yeah, I listened to both versions of this one, and the stripped down version I really liked. So I guess that was the single version of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it had this really chill vibe to it, and that's why I could see, like when you were saying that it's big on TikTok, I could see that it does, I guess, fit into that kind of chill wave. Something you could throw on, relax to also. But this is the only thing I've heard of them. I haven't had a chance yet to go through their album, but I definitely would check it out.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. How about you, Ant?
I thought this was fine. I didn't dislike it, but I don't think this is a band that I would seek out on my own. But it was not unpleasant listening to it for the show. I feel
Very diplomatic.
pretty neutral about it. It's like it's not really
I
my
just-
thing, but it's fine. It's
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
It's not my thing per se, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, you listen to it, it's kind of good.
Yeah,
Like my favorite band is,
it's-
like the Viagra Boys, like really,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
them. And this is a band I'm like, yeah, it's cool. For this, you
It's
you
cool.
try to do a new song. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it sounds like stuff that it sounds like the kind of stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah. I think if you listen to the whole album, the album, the things with them is like it came out in 2016 and they've been able to kind of
Oh.
like take all this stuff and keep it moving and stay relevant and get on TV show and the
Yeah.
TikTok and stuff. So like, it's pretty cool when a band can take an album that's from a little bit ago and
Yes.
still kind of like keep it relevant. So I think
Yeah.
that we know that how difficult that is. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. All right, Anthony, hit yours last.
All
Let's go.
right. That's a good segue because I picked the band is called Yucky Duster, and the album is called 3. The song Johnny on the album 3, which they started working on the album in something like 2017, 2018 maybe, and then they were not a band for a few years, and they finished this album last year. It came out last year, and I'm not sure what their deal is. I know that they were playing shows again. I don't know if they're fully back, if they're going to work on new stuff, or they were just supporting that album. But they started working on the album. They kind of broke up, and then they got back together, finished the album, and I guess they had some kind of indie buzz or whatever at the time. And I think a lot of people were excited that they came back with this. I didn't know about them before. I just recently heard this song, Johnny, and I like it. It's like it's kind of quirky indie rock. There's two lead singers, at least on this album. I don't know what their names are, but there's a guy and a woman, and they switch off lead vocals. But this song was pretty cool because I feel like this one feels like they contributed equally. Some of the other songs you're like, oh, that's the guy's song and this is the woman's song or whatever. And this is like feels like they worked on it together. So I like it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I don't know if I would seek it out.
What can I say about this
The show, but
not really breaking any new ground.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like Anthony music. It's like you have such a thing you like. It really is. You love this punk pop stuff, and and it's great. It's fun. It's upbeat punk. Like it's kind of sad. It's cool. I liked it. I'd have to listen to it again to really give a true opinion. Listen to it a little bit more. But yeah, I thought it was fun. It's upbeat. Punk. I guess that's the thing. I guess that's what I feel like your genre is. So. But I liked it. It was good. Yeah, it was fun. Adam.
Yeah, I thought it was quirky and fun, and it definitely I could see this in a indie film, like a Michael Cera film or something. But I thought also the lyrics reminded me a lot of Cheek Face because and it might just be because I've been listening to their new album lately, but no, I enjoyed it. I'll definitely check out some more of the songs on this album.
Cheek
Yeah,
face.
the whole thing. Yeah, Cheek Face. Yeah, the whole. I like the whole album. I think it's 9 songs. It's like 23 minutes or something. So it's a quick listen, but all the songs sound pretty different. So I like it. I recommend it.
Great. Very cool. Thanks for watching and listening to Dustin's Vinyl. Buy Anthony's album for the holidays. It's a great album full of optimism and stuff and fun and Cheetos and I don't know what he sings about, but we love him here on the show. Take care, everybody. You good?
Yeah.
Hey.